Like you can become a very good bodybuilder and just do this routine.
It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's the Glute Guys.
Today, we're looking into Arnold Schwarzenegger's workout routine. And we're going to go through a few different categories.
Can we pause for 1 second? We're not going to restart this. We're still rolling with the video. I wasn't expecting that as the intro, and that's the thing. Like that was not scripted whatsoever. I'm as shocked as every person who's watching this right now. I didn't think that was our intro, but as Aaron said, today we're going to be talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and diving into our celebrity workout routines. Aaron, go ahead, take it away from here. I needed to put that input in there.
So we have 3 different categories generated by AI, including core training principles, key exercises for each group, and recovery and nutrition for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, most of us, if not all of us, know Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bodybuilder, possibly one of the most famous bodybuilders that we know. So we're going to go first into core training principles, some of the things that he really focused on. First of all, high volume. He performed a lot of sets. He performed 26 sets for large muscle groups like the chest and 61 sets and up to 61 sets on leg days. Sir, what do you think about that?
I mean, diving into something like this, we also have to just point out he set the definition for bodybuilding routines. He set pretty much what we would call in physical therapy or in the medical realm like the gold standard. Obviously, time changed since he was a bodybuilder. Things got a little bit more advanced and developed, and people took his routine and kind of molded it into what we see nowadays, which is, focusing on body styles and stuff like that too. But I mean, just take what I said in the first part of this in the beginning, which was this was designed for bodybuilders. This isn't everybody's routine. So overall, for someone who is into some like bodybuilding or athletic style like training, this overall is a pretty decent setup. It's a lot. You're looking at a high risk, but you're also looking at a high reward if it's executed appropriately. Depends on a lot of factors. But right now, how this is set up, 100% for your athletes, your bodybuilders, your gym goers who are more aggressive. This is not something meant for someone who's trying to get into fitness, is how I would describe it. This isn't for your couch potato who's just getting off the couch.
Yeah, I mean, on top of 26 sets at the minimum, he did a 6-day week working out twice a day. And there's a special word that you can use for people who do this, and it's called steroids, because it helps recovery so much. And it's very obvious, very evident how much steroids a lot of bodybuilders do. The top ones in the world, they do steroids, and that's how they get so big. It's not that it's not hard work. 6 days a week, twice a day, and doing all of these sets for every muscle group is a lot of work. But it is a lot, like that's a little boost that you get. You can get a very nice physique without having steroids, but you're probably not going to get as big as the biggest people in the world.
The recovery is going to take a little bit longer too. And, not to say we've had some friends who came on the podcast and they did bodybuilding and they were very open about it, that they were natural and they didn't do steroids, but their splits, I'm sure, didn't look as aggressive as this, where they were doing this style of strength training twice a day. Working out twice a day isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how you're doing it. And if you're doing this amount of frequency of things, it's, we all know Arnold. We know how big he got. We know he didn't do that naturally.
Yeah. So for like Dr. Tom was saying, for a lay person, like a normal person trying to get into working out, this is probably not the best routine. If you're trying to go for bodybuilding world championship, it's probably a pretty good routine, but that's not most of us. So I would say, to me, like I would try to avoid this. Doing too many sets, it could just lead to injury. We don't want to get hurt. We want to keep everything where it is, where it's supposed to be. So you could probably do half, probably even less than half, and still get good results, honestly. Like they say, the general guidelines for strength training is you do like 3 sets of 10, like 2 or 3 times a week. And that's for one muscle. So you'll actually have results doing that. You don't need to do 26 sets. Then again, if you want to be in a competition for something, you have to practice a lot more.
Yeah, and what Aaron's talking about, the 3 sets of 10 is the the baseline basics. In reality, we recommend that you switch it up depending on what you're training for. You know, if you're trying to get stronger, heavier weights at lower reps, less sets, or more sets rather. If you're looking for endurance, there's ways to train for that. There's different guidelines and protocols for everything. But what Aaron described, the 3 sets of 10, is your very, very basic strength training guidelines. It gives you a little bit of endurance. It still lands in that strength realm. But it's a good starting point. I'm sure that Aaron and I know a professor or two who is going to love that we mentioned 3 sets of 10.
Yep. Next idea, next core principle, the superset. So you do opposite muscle groups with an exercise. So for example, you do a bicep exercise and you do a tricep exercise. That way, instead of taking a rest period, you rest one muscle, work the other, and vice versa. You keep going back and forth. Which honestly, I like that. I like supersets, especially if you don't have a lot of time. You could even do a superset with 3 different muscle groups. You could do shoulders, biceps, triceps if you really want to. That way you can get through a workout a lot faster.
Yeah, honestly, I like that too. I oftentimes will add supersets into my workouts, especially if I'm on a time crunch. I'm like, oh man, like I really only have 45 minutes in here today. I got to try to get through a bunch of these different things. So we're gonna superset them and add them in together. I'm a big fan of them. You can add them in on pretty much any of Arnold's split days that he has on there too, which I'll actually add in a calendar that'll pop up right here somewhere on the screen of what his actual split days were too. So you guys can take a look at what Arnie was doing. He rested on Sundays because that's what the Lord commanded.
Very true. Now let's hop right over to mind-muscle connection, his next idea, which is you basically need 100% focus on your muscles. You need to think about them growing. And you need to imagine your biceps having mountainous peaks while lifting.
You might think, like, seeing that, hearing that, reading that, you might think, like, I think Arnold might have just lost his mind and he's just thinking too much about his muscles and how muscular he wants to be. I'm not even, for a half a second, Aaron, I thought about trying to mimic the Arnold voice that you just did. I'm not going to because I'll just embarrass myself. We'll actually lose subscribers. But he was just thinking too much about the muscles and what people will think. There's actually a connection with that. The mind practice to ready your body to activate more muscles, to like consciously promote subconscious muscle activation. The research on that isn't terrible. It's not going to give you like the biggest, bulkiest biceps out there in the world, but it's going to help you. It's going to help you focus, which is going to get you more in the mindset and get your body more ready to develop muscle in those areas too. Again, sounds crazy, but the research is there.
Yeah, your brain is connected to your muscle through your nerves. So if you actually strengthen that connection, you can actually help build tone and build strength, maybe build mass. So far of the 3 principles from, Google, high volume, I don't know if that's necessarily good for everyone. Supersets and mind-muscle connection are actually good for most people. Like if you're doing a full body workout, you might not need to as much because it's sort of hard to focus on one particular muscle when you're working them all. But it's not a bad idea, especially if you do a lot of bodybuilding type workouts. And our last principle is the golden reps, which includes advanced techniques like forced reps, peak contraction, and isotension. Forced reps being have a partner help you squeeze out a few more reps after failure. Peak contraction, squeeze the muscle as hard as possible at the top of a movement. And isotension, flexing and holding poses between sets to increase density.
Now, he's not necessarily wrong. Can he get more muscle activation out of it? Is it going to promote more growth? Potentially. But you're starting to enter that dangerous realm. So the forced reps, where you're trying to get the last couple of reps out and your buddy's pushing you through it. That's more so like he's doing what I would call a drop set when you're kind of like taking weight off. So your buddy's helping you take some weight off by helping you through the rep. But that can get dangerous. If you're forcing them too far, you can risk some muscle injury rather than promote muscle growth. Same thing with the peak contractions. I do a peak contraction every so often where I'll start to force like myself to just hold that last rep. It really depends on how long he's doing it for, what the exercise is, and what it looks like. And same thing for the isotension. You want to give your muscles a little bit of time to relax after a set. Let them build those the ability to contract again, those glycogen storages back up so you're ready to fire again. If you're constantly flexing them and they get no rest, you're not going to be ready for your next set. So I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't necessarily disagree with it.
So isotension, I'm not a fan of, or just sitting there flexing your muscles, only because when are you ever going to sit there and flex your muscles? Like if that actually worked to build muscle, then people would just sit and flex their muscles all day long. So I am not a big fan of that. Peak contraction, like squeezing as hard as you can at the top of the moment, I think that's actually good. That'll help for bodybuilding to help build muscle, really, and help get those, like help work towards failure. Same thing with forced reps. You want failure in order to build muscle. But when you start doing it after you've already failed, it does make it more likely to hurt yourself. Like people get hurt when they're fatigued and not when they feel great. So if you keep pushing past deeper and deeper into fatigue, you're going to be more likely for something like maybe a bicep tear if you're doing hammer curls or something like that. So I'd be very careful with that one too. But to round out core training principles, sir, what would you grade those principles? A to B to C to D to F, because I messed up and forgot to A to F.
Well, E is an interesting letter. All in all, collectively as a whole, mixing them all together, if you're going to do that all in one, I'll rank them as a C, because it depends on who you are, your athletic ability, your mindset going into it, and how you're performing and utilizing these tools, because these are good tools that you can utilize appropriately. But if you use them inappropriately, you're going to risk high level of injury, potential muscle tears. You're going to risk a lot of really bad things that can happen, which could lead to surgery, which could lead to time out of the gym. So if you're someone who's operating and exercising at a higher level and you're ready for something like this, some of these tools are pretty good to use. If you're not, this can get dangerous fast. So I think a C is good because it depends on how you use them. Now, I wouldn't say A, I wouldn't say B, I would say right in the middle.
Yeah, I would say it's average, maybe a little bit above average. So like a C plus or a B minus almost, where
you didn't tell me that pluses were options and minuses were options.
Well,
I didn't know
sir,
what kind of
you
power
went to
I had
school.
here.
You went to school, sir. You knew that there were minuses and pluses.
I wasn't told for this class, but anyway, we agree on it to the most part that it's right in the middle, about average.
Yeah.
But that leads us into our key exercises for each group. So going through Arnold's splits, he always, of course, worked on chest, back, legs, and shoulders and arms. Interesting enough, he added chest and back with legs for his Monday, Wednesday, Friday splits. That's a lot.
That is a lot. I prefer chest, tries, back, buys, legs, shoulders. If I ever do
kind of like a push-pull
routine. Yeah, so you sort of give one side time to recover and then work the next side, and you get more rest. He also had two-a-days every day. So he could do chest in the morning, back at night, or I guess chest and back in the morning, and legs at night. I'm befuddling myself trying to get myself through these. I do think a lot of these exercises are good ones for you to do. I would be a little bit careful about the dumbbell pullover, although I like it. I just always get a little nervous doing super heavy weight with your hands overhead, and you're sort of like your gravity is sort of pushing it that way. But it is still a decent exercise. Chin-ups, barbell rows, T-bar rows, all good for the back. I have no complaints. Squats, leg press, yeah. I have nothing wrong with that. In calves, yeah, all pretty good.
He's not doing anything crazy, and like it's nothing like he's reinventing the wheel. He's taking I don't want to say the most basic, but they're like compound exercises, and he's just doing them at heavy like weights at higher reps. He's doing them to failure. So they're nothing crazy. They're over. If you're trying to build muscle, these exercises are overall safe and good. The dumbbell pull over, like Aaron said, that's more of a dangerous one. If you're not familiar with it, it's your first time, go light, start out with like a 10-pound weight, 5-pound weight, depending on the person, to see how that feels for you. But overall, they're not bad exercises. Yeah. And down in the description, you can see the full list of exercises. I know I popped up on the screen for a moment to go through, but you can see those down there too.
Yeah, and the Arnold press is one of my favorite exercises, actually, just because it involves so much. It's like it is a superset in and of itself, and working the shoulder press, working bicep curls. You still want to make sure you don't just, keep your arms like this the whole time. Like you want to rotate out to go overhead. But it's an exercise I like a lot, and I'm sure there's some stuff they didn't include here. They didn't include any tricep exercises. And I am 95% sure Arnold Schwarzenegger has tricep exercises involved. Because I've seen him do a tricep push down. I'm pretty sure. But like overall, the exercises are fine. Like really, they're just specific for bodybuilding. Like you can become a very good bodybuilder and just do this routine.
Yeah, without a doubt. These are just taking your bread and butter exercises, which a lot of people don't realize. Like you can start there, and you can stay there, and you can stay in really good shape. Add a little bit of cardio in. You don't have to do the crazy amount of like sets and reps that Arnold was doing. But overall, like if you just stick to it, stick to your routine, add in a couple of other little things to keep yourself healthy, and overall, these are good. These aren't bad.
Yeah. Well, like
So I mean,
yeah,
I would grade this as an A plus just from its ability to build you muscle. The overall ease of the exercises, they're not crazy. Yeah, I think overall I would give that an A plus because they can take you to advanced levels.
I would say I would give it like a minus only because like of a few things that I would want people to be monitored when they first started. Like if I'm thinking of a beginner that could hurt themselves, like again, dumbbell pullover could be wonky. If you're doing heavy squats, you might want to start not heavy so you don't hurt yourself, you don't get crushed by the bar. But yeah, I mean, Arnold press it's not a hard exercise to do, but like you just don't want to do like the little things wrong. Like I was saying, like you don't want to go up like this. You want to have your arms more out or even a little bit forward. So I would give it like an A minus or maybe even still an A. It's a very good routine. You're going to get stronger and bigger if you're consistent with that routine.
I like the Arnold press too because that's a true like mobility meets stability type of exercise. You're adding in the mobility components. You're adding in some stability with the weights. It's a more challenging exercise. Some people don't like overhead presses and don't like Arnold presses, but I always say like if you're doing an exercise appropriately, which means you're doing it at the right amount of sets, the right amount of reps, you're not overdoing it with weight, I don't think it's a dangerous exercise.
All right, last but not least, recovery and nutrition, the protein-centric diet. So high in protein, moderate amount of carbs, not a lot of fat. Not a lot of fat in this diet. I actually like this diet for weight loss. If it like for me, I actually sort of use a high protein diet to cut on a lot of weight. Like high protein satiates you, so you don't want to eat as much. I would still definitely recommend fruits, veggies. I would still eat fats. Now that in general, it's probably good to have fats even if you are losing weight, so your body can feed on them. It's sort of like a long-term energy source that's a little different than carbs. But overall, I do like the protein-centric diet. What do you think, sir?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good diet too. I think there's diets that we have nowadays, and I never really like the word diet, but there's diets that we have nowadays that are advanced from this, where it's protein centric, but we're also working in like counting calories and, like you said, veggies and stuff that we can also add into to get a little bit more like the vitamins and nutrients level of things. So overall, if you're going with protein centric, not bad. Just make sure, like you said, you're also monitoring the fats, and also just keep an eye on the calorie intake too. But not a bad diet.
Last but not least, sleep. You prioritize sleeping 6 to 7 hours to allow for tissue repair. And I agree. Sleep is good. 6 to 7 hours could be a little low, but it sort of depends on the person too. Like 6 or 7 hours for a lot of people is good. Some people need a little more. People shouldn't have a little less than that because 6 is sort of low end of amount of sleep you would need. But yeah, I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah. Overall, I would agree. I mean, I think 6 to 7 hours is a good amount of sleep, especially nowadays. I mean, I don't know about you, Aaron, with work and life and things. Sometimes you're lucky to grab that 6 hours of sleep, of course. But if you can work into a good routine and a good schedule where you make sure you get that 6 or 7 hours, that's actually key because it allows for that healthy tissue repair. It allows for that muscle growth. It allows for hypertrophy to happen. A lot of people think like hypertrophy, yes, it's happening immediately when you stop working out, but that sleep is really where your cellular activity skyrockets. Before that, it's active, it's happening, it's there, but your body is also using energy to walk around, to move, to do your daily functional things, to look, to eat, to do a lot of different things. So when you shut down finally and your body can just be like, okay, let me focus on healing and let me focus on the regenerative stages, that's where you start to see more of this growth actually happen.
So, sir, what would you rank our last category, recovery and nutrition? Or what letter grade would you give it?
I'd give it a B. I think that the protein-centric diet is very good. I think the sleep prioritization is fantastic. I just think that we nowadays have more things that we can add to the dietary side of things where you can focus a little bit more, especially with add in technology. Everyone has a smartphone. There's some free apps out there that you can start to get a little bit more tweaked on your calorie content and a lot of the vitamins and minerals and stuff going on as well. But overall, B, I think it's pretty solid.
I agree. Same thing. B does have things that are better. Can get a little bit more fine tuned into it, but will probably work if you're trying to be a professional bodybuilder or just a good bodybuilder in general. So that leads us to overall, what would we rank the Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding routine?
Overall, I think it lands itself in a C plus because the recovery and nutrition is solid at a B, like we said before. The key exercises, they're very good. We said, I believe we said A. It was kind of what we agreed on.
Yeah.
The core training principles is where it kind of knocks it down a little bit. I think that's what lands it in a C. Just because of the amount of sets and reps that we're doing, it makes it a little bit more advanced. And C isn't necessarily saying it's bad. I just think that it's maybe not friendly to everybody, especially the amount of days that he's working out too and the doubles. That's where I think it lands itself into a C. But overall, solid. It's not bad, but I would probably land it right around C, maybe C plus.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the 6 times a week, 2-a-days, I would probably say B, maybe. But yeah, 6 times a week, 2-a-days, just too much. Just that in and of itself, it's just not good for, I would say, the general person that's going to be watching our videos and going to be watching most bodybuilding stuff online. C is still not bad, honestly, but it could be better for sure.
Yeah, but overall, I think if you're looking for somewhere to start, you can definitely take some of Arnold's principles and you can adapt them, and you can definitely make a solid workout routine out of it.
So now let's get to the chopper and have a nice day. Goodbye, everyone.